Okay. Everyone have a good lunch? Excellent. So by this clock down here, I have 2 minutes.
We'll give you 3.
I don't think I'll be, anyone that knows me knows I can't say anything inside of 2 minutes. But I'm Brian Grainger. I'm the CSO of the company at Brian on Storage, Twitter. Today we've heard from a handful of our key executives, Nathan, Matt Starr, Dave Feller. Nathan is being the CEO. He's the visionary of the company from a universe level. And I must say, every time I watch one of his presentations, I'm having flashbacks to history class that I missed in high school. So I always learn something new. And then, Matt being the CTO, main responsibility is looking at technologies that are already out there and technologies that are not designed yet, what we can do as a company, and bringing them together as a solution out to the market. And David Feller's main responsibility is taking those technologies, integrating it into a product that we can take out into the market. My primary role is after that. It's taking that solution and executing on a business strategy to the market on a geographic level and a vertical level. We're very passionate about what we do. We're technologists, but we truly do believe in looking for innovative ways to help customers preserve their digital assets, archive them, and keep them in a safe and secure environment. Very passionate about that. However, we don't mistake passion for chasing a rabbit down the wrong rabbit hole. We've been around for 36 years, and we've become very good and very efficient at realizing what the market trends are and coming out with products that meet that market. Due to the size of our company, we can't be all things to all people. And that's one of the reasons why we've had 36 years of success. And most notably in the storage industry, we're going on 7 or 8 years of year-on-year growth, profitability, completely debt-free, and being private, by the way, is a good thing. All you have to do is watch the news. So that we can really focus in on those solutions to the market. We've listened to the new products that we've rolled out regarding the addition of Black Pearl features in addition to our gateway into our Verde SaaS product, and of course, most importantly, our Arctic Blue product. But I want to take a step back and go back to our roots and talk about tape for a few minutes. So we've innovated many firsts in this industry. Most of you folks realize this, you know this, but as a quick recap, we are known in the industry of having the densest product, the most power efficient, the easiest to manage, and also very much so everything is wrapped around data integrity. If you're backing up or archiving your data, is it there when you want to go get it? We introduced the TerraPack many years ago, and this is a fairly simple technology, obviously. But what it allows Spectra to do is store, from a density standpoint, at least a minimum 3x times the capacity in the same square foot as our next competitors. We've come up with data integrity verification, assisted self-maintenance, which are a support program that allows customers to participate in the service of the library if they choose, so that if they have a down drive, they can replace it fairly quickly. Or it also allows us to go into, years ago, into more confidential data centers. We're also one of the few companies, actually we're only one of 2 now, that integrates the LTO technology along with the TS. Several companies have tried this in the past. None of them currently have products that are able to do that. So we've been very successful in that area. We also integrate media lifecycle management embedded encryption, so you don't have to have external servers. We've done lots of things in the library world to allow customers to protect and maintain their data at a very cost-efficient price point. So back in 2012, we introduced our Verde Enterprise SaaS product, which was our first real entrance into a non-tape-based archive. And this was by design. We didn't come out with a product that had every bell and whistle that was on it. We didn't try and hit a specific price point. We took our 30 plus years of experience in managing tape and started to leverage some of the cool factor on the disk using tape type process. So it was our first product. We were, I won't say that we were wildly successful, but we learned a lot from launching that product. We were successful from a financial standpoint, but we learned a lot from an engineering standpoint. That allowed us to, a couple of years later, or a year and a half later, we introduced the Black Pearl in 2013. That obviously was our object storage gateway, a la S3 type commands, allowed us to really get into that space that a few other companies had been in, but in a much different, much more unique fashion. And then a couple of months ago, we introduced the DPE product, which was the industry first utilization of Seagate's SMR technology. So as you can see, we took a very methodical path on how we were going to move ourselves forward as a company, look at the markets. I mean, it was very obvious that we're very focused on tape, but a portion of the market had made a decision to move over to a disk platform. Many of those, by the way, have come back. In the advent of some of the technologies like dedupe had a big uptick in customers. We saw a lot of customers actually come back from that. But what it did was it was part of the longer, more grander plan that we had in terms of how do we enable customers to continue to use tape pricing at disk type performance and disk type features. So a couple of hours ago, we introduced the Arctic Blue. I'm not going to get into the technology piece of it. You've heard a lot of it already. Matt and David and myself, and we'll all be having one-on-one interviews this afternoon with all of you and also tomorrow. But what I do want to talk about is our go-to-market strategy and the benefits of Spectra. But first, we want to hear from one of our customers.
First of all, the name, you've been around for a long time. The other is that didn't require a gigabyte per license for archiving data. So a lot of the backup software that's out there requires that. The other was it had an API that we could actually perform automation on our own tool set. And also just the whole integrated solution in one single vendor was also a big part of it.
Definitely the built-in key management. The web interface was great, or the actual BlueScale interface. I mean, the thing IBM had looked like it was from the late 80s or early 90s. It's like, really? Come on now. It could be something, I can do something with. TerraPacks, that was a big selling feature. I mean, you just couldn't get the density that you could out of anybody other product. That's probably the biggest.
One, Spectra had an object storage box, which was amazing because object storage is a really weird thing. I have a slide that talks about like some people make object storage software, some people make software and hardware, some people have it where it's only available in the cloud, S3 and stuff. And what was really cool for me about Black Pearl is that it's an all solution, and it's not some fly-by-night like kind of new startup company. It's Spectra, so we already know SpectraLogic's name. So in media and entertainment, when you're talking to video people, if you come in with, hey, these guys are really cool and they're from San Jose and they've been around 2 years, it's like nobody wants to hear, to paraphrase our statement about some other vendors, like nobody ever got fired for buying SpectraLogic. And so for us, it was a chance to have object storage from a really known vendor and all the flexibility that brings.
So we have a range of different products. We make wireless devices. We make cameras that can be worn, like this camera here. This is our hot view camera. We have cameras that are pole mounted, and we have cameras that can be in cars, so digital in-car video systems. With Black Pearl, what we're doing is being able to transfer video from those edge devices, from a camera on a pole, from a vehicle, or from a body-worn station into long-term storage for police, fire, hospitals, any other kind of fleet management, retail. There's lots of different applications for this type of body-worn or perimeter security.
Let me spend a few minutes and talk about our go-to-market strategy and really what the recipe of success has been for Spectra over the last, at least 15 years since I've been here. They did much better 15 years ago through now than the first 20 years. But it really comes down to three key factors, and this is not rocket science, but it's really a matter of staying focused and executing on what that basic philosophy is. Number one, follow the data, right? We're all about data. We're all about markets that are utilizing and consuming a lot of data today, but also as being on the leading edge of the type of technology we design, it's also about reading the tea leaves in what are the markets down the road that will be anticipating huge growth. 10 years ago, no one really knew what Internet of Things is or was. And obviously that market is expanding and growing significantly. Second is focus in on the technology. I can't say this enough, that we remain very focused on that core principle of secondary or second tier and third tier. We're not in the first tier. We have no business in that market. We don't want to be in that market. We'll leave that up to the big three-letter companies that are tending to that market. It's everything about what's behind that and staying focused on it. And then the third is our approach, and this is a rather recent approach if you want to consider 10 years ago recent, where we went to market on a vertical basis. Back 10 years ago, we were a much smaller company, had a lot less, or the company had a lot less resources out in the field. So it would be very difficult for us to take a product, put it in our people's bag and just say, go out and hit the masses. There it's very opportunistic and it's very hit or miss. So we put together a pretty long-term structured strategy on what verticals does this particular product, whatever the product is, whether it's a vertical or multiple verticals, does it serve, and wrap everything that we do around that, from marketing to engineering to R&D to sales to all the different departments. So I'm going to talk just for a couple of minutes about 4 different markets. One of them is media and entertainment. It's very obvious with the presentations today of the success we've had in traditional media and entertainment and also what I would call non-traditional. My logo's disappeared. They are still customers. But we had up there CBS or NBC, Discovery, the Speed Network, NASCAR. Those are the traditional organizations in the M&E market where there's something going on and they're retaining the video and making it for broadcast. Then there were some other logos up there like McDonald's, where they obviously are not doing their own commercials in-house, but they use it for training. Whether it's training on demand or training that they will deploy out into the areas. So we've really seen that there's a non-traditional piece to the M&E market that's going to be quite successful. And the M&E market represents, is still a very healthy portion of our business. I'd say approximately 25% of our total top line revenue on a worldwide basis. And then we have the federal group, which is near and dear to my heart. I started the federal group about 13 years ago. Again, the logos are gone, but they're still customers. And we're basically in every major agency, both on the intel side and on the unclassified side with the US federal government. That is still a very, very good business for us, and represents a little bit less than the media and entertainment piece, probably about 20% of our worldwide revenue. The next is HPC, which actually started out in the federal group, and then I broke that out a handful of years ago because there's some uniqueness, there's product requirements, you're dealing with a much larger data set, and we have a whole group that's focused in on the HPC, and that, of course, is where our big iron in the library business is quite successful. They're the ones that are very excited that Spectra is still very much focused and committed on the tape and investing quite heavily in the tape. They're the ones that if a rep at one of our competitors walked in there and tried to tell them tape is dead and disc is king, they wouldn't last 30 seconds in that meeting. So we do extremely well in there. Matt spends a lot of time out there around the world talking with our big HPC centers, both government and also at the university level. Now I want to talk about two new markets. Oh, and these logos are staying. Two new markets. So video surveillance. Well, actually, let me start with the private cloud storage. We have become extremely successful in private cloud storage and also public cloud storage. I can't spend a lot of time talking about it because most of the opportunistic deals that we're working or have worked are under NDA, but I think some of you folks that have NDAs that are signed, we can talk about those privately. Rest assured, public and private cloud, they know tape, they like tape, they embrace tape. Lots of YouTube videos out there supporting the tape technology now and going into the future. But video surveillance, I talked about how a successful company can read the tea leaves down the road. About 3.5 years ago, I just saw more and more media coming out about surveillance. And what's interesting is that I see the surveillance business going through the same type of technology change that the M&E business did a handful of years before. The migration from analog to digital, the types of cameras that were coming out, all of the traditional things that you would think of in video surveillance, bad people doing bad things. With this being a global issue, those become much more serious. Governments, agencies, even Fortune accounts, they want to retain this video surveillance almost forever because you never know when you'll want to go back and analyze what happened. You can't, realize that somebody in a red hat and a black jacket 3 months ago was walking in front of a bank, and it just so happens that a guy with a red hat and a black jacket rob the bank or something else that's going on a more international level. But more importantly, commercial companies are starting to use that video as an asset. So as an example, one of the largest retailers in the world, I suppose I could say that the largest retailer in the world uses that to track patterns, people patterns. How many people walk in the front door? How many go left? How many go right? How many walk in, they stand at the first kiosk and they're there for 12 seconds? And why do you think that would be important to them? Any ideas? Marketing. Who said marketing? Well, they get to raise their fees to Kellogg or General Mills or whoever it is to say that shelf space is going to be, cost you X amount, and we actually now have more evidence to show that. So very similar workflow patterns with video surveillance as in the media and entertainment, with one obviously major difference. Well, you're not supposed to edit surveillance video. At least that's what I believe.
I've worked in the casino business. You should see this.
The casino business. So these are two markets that we're going after very hard. We've already started to have some pretty good success. More success probably on the right than the left, but now that we have the full product suite to go out to the market, we're going to be extremely successful in the security market as well. Okay, so with that, I kind of jumped over a lot of stuff because I want to make sure that you all get your meetings with everyone at Spectra one-on-one. We're inviting you to sit with Matt Starr on the Star Files, the hands-on lab with David Feller, and then of course building a client with, I think, Jeff. Where's Jeff? With Jeff Bronstein. That's going to be really cool because this is where you get to see unadulterated, create a client from scratch and have it running inside of, how many minutes are we at now? 20 minutes. I challenge you to do 15 minutes. 13 minutes. So with that, let me ask if there's any larger questions that anyone has for myself. Otherwise, we can meet on a one-on-one basis.